If the state of the nation doesn't trouble your spirit, then your eyes might be open, but your vision is asleep. So while corruption should turn your stomach and inequality should shake your soul, if it's not, then the illusion is working. So when we say burn down Babylon, we mean from its foundation. And this is a quote from yours truly. And this quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie-Fari, the beautiful life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. And speaking of social change, head on over to change.org and sign the petition to reopen Peter Tosh's murder case. Due to the mishandling of evidence and uncharged suspects, Henry Kay, along with others, are calling for the case to be reopened. And that's Henry Kay, the host of Rootsland Podcast. So go over to change.org and check it out. So welcome to another episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, recorded live in the Omen Honey Reggae Radio Media Studios in the beautiful Ocala National Forest. And I am your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie. Hippie-Fari is that podcast where we discuss all things reggae. So if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. So tonight we have that special guest back in the studio. This is the 10th time, man. That's amazing, dude. 2 months. We're coming up on a year. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
It's been a lot and it never gets old. And like I always say, we wanted to partner with a band that defined this podcast and media project perfectly. This band, from their lyrics to the music to the demeanor on a personal level and the message they stand for, is the epitome of everything we stand for here at Hippie-Fari. This monthly is aptly named Cultivated MonDaze, and we will be dropping an episode the first Monday of every month featuring Cultivated Mind. We'll be discussing their upcoming and past events, new music releases, featuring new music, and just talking reggae music and whatever other bullshit we talk about, which is a lot of fun in general, man. So welcome back to the show, Tony. 10 months, still going strong, man. What do you have to say about that, bud?
I say awesome and can't wait for much, much more. So thanks for having me, and
I
big
know,
up
bro.
Hippie-Fari and Omen Honey, man. Good to
Yes.
see you, Scotty.
Beautiful, man. Thank
And
you. so much.
happy anniversary to you and Miss Kira, man.
Woo! It was absolutely amazing, dude. Had a fantastic time. We stayed up till 4 a.m. Just bullshitting, man. We ate dinner together, stayed up. We just, you know what I mean? We did what most people like want to always beg to do. We just literally sat, like, no music on, no TV on. We just talked for hours, bro. It was absolutely amazing. I don't think it could have gone any better, man.
Yeah, that sounds sweet, bro. Glad it went well.
That was cool, man. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate that. So, these episodes are getting a lot of great feedback, dude. They have a lot of views on them, a lot of listens. So they're doing great. And
Thanks, folks, for checking us out. That's
yeah,
awesome.
man, we're having fun. That's the point. And how can people not check it out? It's got you on it, man. You're kind of like Howard Stern. People just know what you're gonna say next. They want to know what you're gonna say. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's cool, and I'm really it's cool that people are even listening, man. So
That's awesome.
thanks for having me back consistently, and for letting me get out here and jaw my opinions about music and
Yes.
gear and stuff, man, and let me be a nerd on your podcast. I appreciate it. Thank you,
100%, man. I was gonna hop into the questions and do something, but I kind of wanted to ask you something real quick. We were talking about this on the phone last night, talking about jawing your opinions, man. I was talking to Henry Kay. He was on the podcast, the host of Rootsland, who I just mentioned. He brought up something that a lot of people don't think about, but people should think about it. It was absolutely, it was amazing. He's like, I went to Cali Roots and I saw probably 100 weed vendors. You know what I mean? Selling the weed, doing all this kind of stuff. You know, having their brands up. You know what I mean? It's so accepted now. But he's like, I did not see one poster, one banner, one anything representing the elders like Peter Tosh, who literally lost their lives. So this topic could be brought to the forefront of the world, and this should be, you know, these people should be respected and represented. I feel like a lot of the times, man, especially with over here in the States, man, people, they'll carry the reggae flag, but they won't, you know, it's like the elders just kind of get left in the dust, man. But, you know, these people literally fought and died for this topic, you know, and lost their lives, man. So what's your take on, you know, bands and people that will, you know, scream, you know, pro weed all day long, and it's legal. It's a beautiful thing, but not give any respect to the people who literally laid the foundation, laid the groundwork for that shit to happen.
I think weed or ganja culture that's part of like Rastafari and Jamaican culture originally goes back to people in India and has roots, very old roots, and
Right.
part of spiritual celebration and meditation. I think back then it wasn't like weed is a symbol. That leaf is a symbol. The buds are a symbol. But really at the time, still it was like something that black folks did.
Right.
And compared to what drinking and whatever white folks were doing back in those times, this was something that was brought over by people from India that was
Sure.
kind of brought and made popular by Jamaican folks and brought into Rasta culture. So it's not just weed. Like it is weed, but like that's kind of what I think. That's why people don't get how important it is, because it wasn't just weed. Weed was a symbol of like all the ways that Western society or the man or police and law enforcement would screw with you.
Right.
It was another outlet for them to say your culture is whack and you have to follow and step in line. So
Wow.
I think that's why maybe people don't see it as the same way. They don't get that it's like it's not just weed. It's like freedom of speech,
Right.
freedom of religion, freedom of all these things that you value so much in
Right.
America. Weed was just an emblem of that, and because it was a very non-European thing, I know I say black and white, and it's more complex than that, obviously,
Sure.
but because it was not a European thing, like everything else that wasn't European,
Right.
whether it be gods, religion, practices, dances, whatever you're doing, it's seen as
Hairstyles.
it's seen as the opposite or something that should be kind of spat upon. And so,
Right.
I think people don't always get that. They're like, it's weed, but like it's not really about weed. It's
Right.
about the overall issue. And weed is just one part that they can use to kind of throw people in jail without much cause, and
Right.
to cause problems, to interrogate and invade your home. And just so I think maybe that's why there's a disconnect, is that I don't think people really get it the same way, that this was like a cultural thing too. It wasn't just like, hey man, weed makes you hungry and happy and it makes everything better. And it was
Yeah.
like, nah man, this was like a representation, another form of this Jamaican culture that was not respected by European folks, or
Right.
they didn't want allowed. So I think that's why it isn't like now it's just like, does your state allow weed or not?
Right.
But even that, like you said, there's heroes in our country for guys that
Yeah.
moved and shipped and took risks and did what they did to get things across borders. So
Right.
I think people miss that. We talked about this right on the phone, and Space Camp was someone I brought up that I
Yes.
want to give them a shout, because a lot of people, like, once your state even gets legalized, like the job is done. We're
Right.
good. And
Just
we're
started.
good. So screw Kansas. Virginia's
Right.
good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's how we start to think. And then it's like the whole fight. Was it really for rights, or is it just because you want to get high?
Right.
Like,
right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? I guess that's the argument that goes to the other thing, too. It's more than just you want to get high. It's about people telling you what you can and can't do, what's
Right.
good for you, what's
Yes.
part of your culture and not part of your culture.
Right.
It's a bunch of that thrown in there, too. It's
Sure.
loaded,
Sure.
if you will. So I love that Space Camp like makes it a point to always bring up, hey, man, there's people still in jail. And like you're
Right.
smoking freely, and they went to jail over
Right.
probably something stupid like
Yep.
an ounce or two.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who knows what they got popped with back then?
Yep.
You have a half a zip, and you're going to go get booked at the station.
Oh, yeah.
Like when we were kids, it was you had enough. They could find a C to stem on you and give
Yeah.
you a court citation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Kira
saying?
had her
And, like,
house raided. Her neighbor actually said that they were selling weed out of the house, which they weren't. I didn't realize the cops could take a tip and not know anything and still raid your house. They raided her house after
I got
they
a
went.
buddy that happened to actually.
Dude, they
but yeah,
went
go
through
ahead.
everything, fucking everything. Guess what they finally found? A roach in the fucking ashtray, dude. And they were
And they clocked it too, didn't they?
fuck yeah, they did. Unbelievable, dude. So our tax dollars spent thousands of dollars to raid a girl's house for a roach. Yeah, dude. Yeah, whatever.
So yeah, I don't. The long story short, I don't think people got that it's like not just about weed. It was
Right.
because that was considered not a white thing,
Right.
and so that was a problem back then. So I think folks don't get that, and I think folks like that are like Space Camp, like Oski
Yeah.
and Adu, man,
Yes.
are
Love
out there
those
literally
guys. Shout
telling
out
you to
Space
sign
Camp.
petitions,
Yeah.
and go to the tent that's doing the fixing laws and
Yeah, sure.
pitching laws. Like, go talk to these guys, and it's literally trying to get folks out of prison. So I
Right.
think there are folks that are awake to that,
Yep.
that are in the scene. Like anything else, man, I love hating. It's what people do. And I'm like, there, nobody does this nowadays. Or reggae just ain't reggae nowadays.
Right.
This ain't that nowadays. But like there are, so you got to shout out to people that are actually like out there doing it, and like those guys are out there trying to get people out of jail. So
Yes.
big up Space Camp, big up Space Camp and Rebel Hippies. But I think that's the mark. Is that I think people in La La Land and maybe didn't get that this was a part of the general oppression.
Right. Yeah.
It's
sure,
just another
100%.
arm of the oppression, but it's
Yeah.
still the same evil animal. So
Yes.
I think that's why you don't get like the same kind of like, hey man, this is kind of a revolution, and you got to go make sure your other brothers in other states and other countries are also free too.
That's right. Yeah, back when Leonard Percival, in that day, and people had dreadlocks. Yeah, they were technically illegal. It was illegal. It was unbelievable, man. You couldn't even have dread style hair. So, yeah, we've definitely come a way, but it's still nice to to pay homage to. And it's cool that you brought up the fact that it came from India. Yeah, the indentured servants that were brought over from India to Jamaica brought the ganja, man.
So this is a long time cultural thing, and for someone to step in and tell you this is wrong and this is whatever you want to call it, devil's work and not Christian, and you shouldn't do this and whatever.
Yep.
And it's part of your culture. After a certain point, like it's like the same thing as telling you can't speak your language.
Right.
You got to change your names.
Yep.
You can't practice your religions.
Colonialism, man.
Exactly. It's just another form of that. So I think because people grow up in the colony in America, they don't get it, and it's like, this is a problem. People like died and went to jail, and some of your homies are still in jail. My mother would hate it if I went off on some of the dumb stuff I got in trouble for, but it usually had to do with that.
Yep.
And I never thought I was causing that much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny that you
just
brought
hanging
up,
out with friends.
It's like it wasn't normal over here. You know what I mean? So it's weird, though. It's funny that you brought that up. I talked about it on my punk show last night. The normalization of things. When you think it becomes normalized to you, and then you think, oh, that's right or wrong. You know what I mean? And I was talking about, all these punk bands talking about animal rights and all that kind of stuff, and being a vegetarian, for example. Over here, people look at it. Oh, that's stupid. I want to eat meat for the most part. Over in India, it's normal. So it's basically how we grew up, and what is normalized to us is what becomes what we think is weird if it's any other way. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's crazy. That all comes from that opening your mind thing. But all right, family, welcome back to another episode of Cultivated MonDaze.
That was the beginning. You swung hard in the beginning, huh?
Yeah, man. I love every single one of these conversations. I had to do that because you actually mentioned, when you were talking about people that actually want to listen to my opinion, I was like, you know what? Let's start the show off with one.
Come out swinging. I'm for it, bro.
Yes, man. So how have things been since the last time we talked, man? What's life been feeling like lately, brother?
This is like the ultra crunch time. So like if you remember back in school writing papers or whatever you did, or at your job, you know what I'm saying? If you're currently at your job, you do things and you're usually on time, and then you go, oh crap, no matter what I did, I'm still running behind on everything. So I just released today, actually. It's been submitted. 2 or 3 songs, man. One of them's called Will You Fumble? The other one, obviously.
Yes. They're not on streaming yet, though, are they?
No, but they'll be out. Hopefully, I'm aiming for like the weekend that you show up. I think they're going to be dropping like that Friday.
Beautiful.
So I want to say like the 27th, maybe.
Yeah, beautiful.
Or 28th, something like that.
That's February, yes.
Yeah, but no, they're submitted today, and I'm waiting to see if they're going to go to like the playlist curating thing, or if I made that cut off enough. But I got a bunch of songs, so Big Up Jordan Weekly was in my ear today, and it was just like, you need to just drop the stuff one by one. Quit trying to make some big parade of music and just get out stuff and start hyping it. And he's right, man. I'm getting older by the minute. It's like there was times now. So so can
I bring something up real quick? You're talking about the curated playlist. I actually had Reed Foster, didn't have him on the show, wanted him, but talked to him on the phone a couple of times, and I was asking him about that, and he said the best way to get your tracks on the playlist, he said, is to release it one at a time. He's like, because the people who curate these playlists are staring at all the new releases. He's like, and if they see a track from Cultivated Mind, then they see a track from Cultivated Mind, then they see a track from Cultivated Mind, they're eventually going to, I got to check this shit out. You know what I mean? There's a ton. It's coming out back to back to back to back.
I'm starting to figure that out, man. I really, as a musician, and big up Reed Foster for always being a wealth of knowledge to me.
Yeah, he's incredible, man.
But I'll be real with you, man. Like I always have this fight in me, and it's like what do you want to do versus what you're supposed to do,
Right.
and
I think we all have that
and
fight sometimes.
yeah, and like for folks, young musicians, wherever the camera is, hold on, for young
Right.
musicians, look, man, I'm hard to knock over. I may not be the most famous guy ever, but like it can be feast, famine, rain, or snow, and we're gonna make it through. So
Yes.
I think there's something to be said for doing your own thing, because then you find people that really connect outside of like hype.
Right.
But that being said,
Boom.
as much as I like to be like, I love an album. I love liner notes. I
Yeah.
like reading while I'm listening to it.
Sure.
I love all that
Me
old
too.
school stuff where it felt like it was a book and an experience, and
Yeah.
the album felt like
Yeah,
a
I
movie,
talk about that
and
all
you're
the
reading.
time, man. The old cassette tapes, man.
But people ain't doing that anymore.
No.
So
Mm-mm.
now I feel like you do the final product like that, and I hate to call it product, but you get what I'm saying. When you do the packaging, whether you want to make it
Yeah.
a CD or a vinyl, you can still do that way. And I think I was so hung up on, I want people to hear this album like as a movement, to where it's like, all right, you can hear me get like angry,
Right.
frustrated, happy again,
It's like a
triumphant.
concept album type where
Yeah,
you're following
yeah,
the
and
whole
then-
story.
Yeah, now it's not out, so you know.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. I had these great plans, like, but I didn't fucking. Yeah, that's funny.
But it's not out, so
Yeah.
maybe I should just drop shit and quit running my mouth about
Right.
what I'm gonna do and just get songs out.
Well,
So
what you could
look,
do, man, is drop it. Drop them one by one, and then put it like on and out. You know what I mean? Then re-release it as
that's
a full
what I'm
album,
doing.
You know?
I'm gonna do that, and then
Yeah.
like at the end I'll do like vinyls or something kind of
Nice.
like unique for that.
Yeah.
A lot of it's got old school reggae, so I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to be. It'd be cool to hear some stuff on vinyl. I've never heard Cultivated mine on vinyl, so
That would be great. The clicks
Ah.
and pops. But here's a question: Are you gonna record
I
it?
have with Nick Dillon.
Are you
but
gonna
yeah.
record it analog to make it actually give that vinyl sound, or are you gonna record it digital?
So there's the difference between this stuff, Scotty, and I'm not sure. Have you recorded a little bit in the past?
Little bit.
So there's a big misconception sometimes with like the whole analog versus
Digital.
tape, which is an analog,
Right.
and then there's digital. And like I'm not doing tapes,
Right.
I'm not doing all digital. So a lot of my tracking's done front end with preamp, like it has tubes.
Okay.
So, and I'll be honest, man, I have an Art Pro preamp, which is not the best, but I have Electro Harmonics tubes, so bang bang,
Right.
and like and it sounds nice. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I've been using that, and then I also have like the Focusrite Claret, which has like really pristine, clean as it gets
Nice.
preamp. So if I want to capture like acoustic or something, and I need the high end kind of sparkly, you know what I'm saying, or vocals a certain
Yeah.
way where I don't want them, saying I'll run with that. But that old vinyl sound, man, that like comes from being on vinyl, and like tapes do something called tape compression, which is
Right.
like, it's not real compression. It's just, it shaves off the initial click or hit that comes out of like a kick drum. Or you call it your transient. But that first initial hit, think of like a hit or a blast as like a comet or
Right.
like a bull. Bull in the china shop, right?
Yeah,
That
heard.
sound. It's running through. Hairs will trickle and fall off, but there's still like a first point where it's making contact.
Right.
That's your transient. And sometimes if you like don't shave that off a kick drum, you can like cut someone's head off while they're listening to it in the car.
Right.
Or famously on some of my old tracks where it's like supposed to be a sweet song and the bass is like,
Yeah. Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah,
blowing
yeah,
it out. And like
yeah.
to me as a young man, I was like, fantastic. Now
Yes.
I'm looking back and was like,
Yes.
I should have frame
And
that.
you actually had a lot of good ideas. When we were talking about like the project that we're gonna get started on when I come to visit you, man. We were talking about like a choir. You're like, we could stand at different parts of the room and sing the same thing over. So it's got you're kind of far away, then you're kind of close, and you're closer, then you're closer. Put it all together, and it sounds like a choir. I don't know where they came from. I was just talking about your
and
ideas.
that
You were talking about
fixes
recording. I was
phasing
like,
problems and stuff.
never even thought of
and,
that
like,
before.
Yeah, it'll give the effect, and it also should hopefully not like eat out the same frequencies. But
Right.
a lot of the stuff that like, so I use a lot of analog stuff, and analog just means that it leaves the land of ones and zeros.
Right.
So some people will have like a analog summing device. They don't even have like boxes or compressors or anything. They'll run out stuff just so it goes through the wires and then back into your computer. And the reason is that
Oh,
like,
I hear you.
even though it goes back into the computer, your computer's got to like scramble, like
Right.
someone dropped the ball, and try and imitate whatever happened. That isn't an algorithm. That's
Gotcha.
like heat and wires and junk. You know what I'm saying? So after that, like it's got, even if it is ones and zeros, which if you want to think about digital music and like that format as blocks rather than circles,
Right.
and no matter how far you zoom in on the building blocks of a wave, it's going to be jagged in the digital world. So if you can screw with the computer even, and let the song come out the computer and come back in through wires and like a summing device or something like that. Or if you just, I have a couple compressors and an EQ, something that you can maybe tailor the sound or color it a little bit, or at least just get it out of ones and zeros land. It's going to have more sonic depth than it would if it's literally on your computer.
Sure.
However, I've heard some of the AI tracks of like, Gabe showed me, what was it? Man, I got mad. It was so good. It was,
yeah, bro.
It was like a doo-wop, not even that, like 50s soul version of like, it was like if Curtis Mayfield did Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
And like, they didn't just do the harmonies that were in and it was reggae style.
Yeah.
So it was like just everything. It was a beautifully produced track, and I wanted to like die at the same time.
You know what's wild about it? Is why I was talking to one of my buddies about that the AI, and it's like, look, he was like, the reason that these AI tracks do so well, and there's like Zion Echoes and all these reggae AI outfits on YouTube. He was like, when you're putting into AI what to do, he's like, AI is literally scanning the most popular reggae track yesterday, the most popular reggae track the day before, what it sounded like, and they're making it sound exactly like what's the most popular on top of it, doing what it does. So it's scanning all the information, you know what I mean? Not just what you told it, but when you're saying reggae, it's finding, the number one reggae track in the world and taking pieces from that. It's unfucking believable.
Oh yeah, the drums had like Lee Scratch Perry hi-hats, and it was just like really clink, ding, 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 ding. I was like, yo, this is insane. And like,
it sounds great. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And it was and had a lot of depth. So as far as the whole sonic depth thing, I don't even know what to say anymore. In the last year, things have changed so much. That's the problem with music production.
Right.
In a year, everything's irrelevant. And like someone's on, now we're producing 3D reverb.
Yeah.
And they're just like, dude, I'm out, bro. Yeah.
Same thing with graphic arts, man. I was in graphic arts in college, and I was like, I took a year off, and I came back, and like it was a Macintosh G4. They're like, that shit's irrelevant, and I was like, wow. When you spend that much money on a computer and you realize it's no good for what you're doing a year later.
Yeah, it's old because the jobs also that you need them for become more advanced and need more gadgets and whiz bangs. But back to the analog digital thing. That should be an album name, whiz bang.
That's great.
But the first thing most people think of when they think of analog is they think of tapes.
Sure.
And like the only time I've really ever used that was I used cassette tapes with a little thing. I literally took them to a buddy to get them converted, and then realized there was an output jack. I knew nothing about recording. I just knew tapes sounded gangster.
Right.
So, and I'm like recording with one SM58 and a lot of hope. And I was like, I know tapes are good. My snare drums sound like just dinky, and like didn't have the thwack I wanted, and I put them through those, and I was like, that's the thwack without it like icing your head off with the transient. It was like just more of a Batman punch. And I was like, yes, and I put that on like No Quarter for Thieves. I put that on a bunch of stuff. Reach Out. I dropped that sample on everything.
That's awesome.
But I homemade samples and would like store them. I have them on my drive that I would like use and be like, all right, this is the one I went through. Cassette snare 1, cassette roll 1, cassette whatever. And saved a bunch of those, and that was how I did my analog juice in there to get it how I wanted it. But everything else was digital. And then when I say digital, I don't mean like all digital drum. I played drums, played bass. But the production tools were digital. And then I went to like playing with, started getting into some more like actual analog gear and boxes, bought some warm stuff and things like that to get started. And, honestly, I do like the tone of it, but I'm also, when I listen to modern reggae tracks, I don't always hear like the analog sheen to the top end that like kind of blurs it in a good. I don't hear the same things that are coming out of old school reggae and even 90s and 80s reggae. So I feel like for a certain sound, I use it for that. For certain songs where I want that, or horns that just came out too harsh.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like I would say most of the horns on the whole album have been run through analog gear.
Nice.
I would say at least half the drum buses. Sometimes I just do a slack job on the drums, and then by the time I get to the drum bus, I still got shit popping out. So I'll go and run that through the actual analog machines, and it smooths it out real nice. But typically, man, I'm using like, I would say like 50%, because on the front end I'm doing it, and then usually on my master bus I have like I have a glue compressor, SSL comp, so G comp. So I'm using those for like my ending thing and for my front end, but then in between I'm mixing digitally. I think a lot of people, I think that's how most people are doing it now. So they get the sound is analog, but then they can tweak it however they want on the computer.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and then you glue it back in the real world again with something. I don't know if that's what other people are doing, but it seems to be. I'm not alone on this.
Well,
It
if they're
seems to
not,
be
they
kind
will
of
be
a norm.
now after hearing you talk about it. So that's
I think
pretty.
again, I think this is how most people are doing it nowadays. But I hear a lot of digital stuff that's hits and
Yeah.
like is in the top of playlists. So
Right.
I don't. To me nowadays, it's hard to tell with what you can do and with emulators and
Sure.
fake tape machines and whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, man.
It is
It's
pretty
a
wild shit. Yeah.
you don't need to have a reel to reel,
No. Yeah. Well, absolutely not, man. That's technology. It's fucking unbelievable. I know Groundation does a lot of the tape, and they still do the live recordings on the analog. It's pretty wild. But he's like, our next album's gonna be digital. Pretty funny. After
Yes,
11 of them.
some of the stuff now is just really like it's impressive just what basic plugins can do. But
Sure.
like I said, there's a randomness of and that's the best word I can think of
Right.
how just a signal passes through a wire that like does something to the sound that is deep.
Yeah.
And you can hear like there's no back. Whereas like I don't know, when I listen to digital music, I
Sure.
can hear that there's a wall in the back we
Right.
can't go. I don't know how to say it any other way.
That's what you're saying.
You put a pound of reverb on it, but
It's not as
plastic,
soft. It's hard. It's like spoom, instead of the warmth. Yeah, man. Yep.
And that's that transient thing we were talking about, that first hit from the comet.
Yep.
That's what a lot of tapes and stuff will like snuff that out in a really nice way to where instead of clipping, like you have a signal, there's a mountain, and you just sit there and you hack at it
Yeah.
to make it quieter or smoother. You don't
Right.
think it's going to change. Kick drum that was pop is now or
Right.
something because you literally you snipped off half the mountain,
Yep.
bro.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But if you can get it like smoothed or something like that, which
Sure.
is what tapes do, then it sounds infinitely better. So,
Yes.
for snare drums, kicks, it's like, I don't know, whenever I'm stuck, I'm like, all right, let's run it through a machine or let's see what the old lexicon can do.
Right. Sure.
And see
Absolutely.
if that'll work,
That's awesome. How cold is it there, bro?
Virginia gets nasty this time of year, so I don't know, probably like 20, 30s.
Yeah, I'm sitting here.
We were snowing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm in my RV, and I'm like, I didn't put shoes on. And RVs they're not known for their insulation. Obviously not. They have slide outs, and I'm sitting here.
I feel for you, bro.
I'm sitting here, forgot to put my shoes on. I'm like, well, I can't feel my feet, so I guess I'm not standing up tonight. But so
I'm sorry, man.
thank you coming back, man. 10th episode. For me, that's a milestone. Does that mean anything to you? Because I know that you had talked to me before. You're like, some other people had asked you to be on podcasts. We were gonna do this, do that. And you're kind of like, it never really stuck. This one kind of did. Is that kind of is that a little milestone for you? Maybe something that you're kind of including in your what's the word? Your music repertoire. Kind of like, I released this, I did this, I'm on Hippie-Fari. Has it become part of something you're proud of yet?
Yeah, definitely, man.
That's
and
beautiful, man.
I appreciate the opportunities to come out and be able to speak once a month. Reggae's a community thing, man. So like, not just being faces on a poster, but people that how they think and talk and walk and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of part of what makes reggae great. And,
Is it?
So to be able to be a part of that with you and also open up our end of the world of reggae over in the Mid-Atlantic on the East Coast.
Beautiful.
I don't know, man. I appreciate you giving me the platform, and for a lot of stuff, man, I do go a long time. So when I say like I don't want to, I know if I go do another podcast, I'm not gonna like half butt it.
Right.
So I know I wouldn't be able to do that, and I really like what you're doing here. So I'll do one-offs with other people, and when I release something, or if somebody wants to, I know Thomas the Hippie, I'll do them with him, man. I like him a lot.
Great guy, man. WTHC, shout out.
Yeah. So folks that I've worked with in the past and done interviews with and stuff, like I definitely will do them again. And Weed Whisperer, Wayne, and Jesse, Nigel. But I don't, as far as like steady things, this is the one where I feel like topic-wise. Also, I like you and Kira. That's a bonus. But
that does help. And you don't like many people, so that definitely helps. I'm like, wow, he actually likes it. That's incredible. We got to hold on to this.
Yeah, you're not scared of my opinions, man. Most people are pretty frightened of the things that come out of my mouth sometimes.
No, I think it's beautiful. We share a lot of the same opinions, man. And speaking of opinions, a lot of yours come from creativity. So creatively speaking, I know your influences, man, but have you had anything new that's been influencing your sound or your mindset over the past, few months?
Yeah.
Right.
So for one, I love that you do the punk show now, and I definitely need to tune in more to that.
It's crazy, bro. It is fucking crazy punk. A lot of people think Green Day and Pennywise. This is not that.
No, and well, I liked some Pennywise. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too.
But,
Me too, big time.
but no, I showing younger people now that I'm older, like people's kids and like nieces and nephews' music, like really like reminds you of the things that you came up on that you forgot. So,
Right.
Talking to Lucian's kid the other day and just being like, hey man, like, do you ever heard? Like, I don't know if you mess with punk, but do you ever mess with like East Bay Ray and Dead Kennedys? And he's like, nah, I've never heard of them. And I'm just like, yeah, to me, I forget that like this generation doesn't even know
Dead
what
Kennedys are incredible.
yeah, it's a madman scientist playing surf guitar, wrong, but right,
exactly,
but right. You know what I'm saying? Like, just there's something off about it, and it's like a Tim Burton version of surf guitar.
Right.
Like, it's not wrong.
Yep.
It's wicked, but it's wicked too. It sounds eerie. But there's stuff like that. Like I've been going back to, man. I always liked P-Funk, but shout out to Queese from Lost Soul Society. Just over the years, has been really like kind of pushing the funk on me over and over and over. And a lot of that, man, like as super horn driven music. So
nice.
One could be big anthems like One Nation or whatever it is, man. Unfunky UFO. I really didn't realize how many hits these guys had, and I knew all the basics, man. But the more I'm going into them, I'm flabbergasted by just the breadth of music and how much they put out. That's really good. So some of that, I always kind of stick to Mingus when I need it.
Yes, always.
That's like one of my ones that's pushing me.
Yep.
As far as reggae goes, man, I don't really listen to a lot of newer stuff, but if I had to, man, Pocky Man, I don't know how you say it right, but Pocky Man Dub.
Yeah, you got it right.
Is one that I will crank in the car just because it just sounds classic. I still like John Brown's Body, but I was never
amazing.
I wasn't into the newer Elliott stuff at first, and it was because I just didn't give it a chance. And so I'm kind of going through like the Elliott Martin later stuff, and I really like it. Like, it's fantastic. Yep. So apparently I like all of John Brown's Body's works. So there's some stuff like that where like I just had holes I needed to fill.
Right.
And go back to that. And then as far as new stuff, man, really it's just kind of the guys in the corners that I mess with. Like I really like the obviously whatever comes out of Yard and whatever comes out of Europe's been great, but some of the dudes I feel like that don't get enough credit that I kind of like peep every now and then and jam on are like Kiko Bun or and that's Zach Motes turned me on to him. So big up Zach Motes, Dharma Initiative. But Kiko Bun and Marcus Gadd is another one that
Marcus Gadd is fucking amazing.
Yeah, man, I feel like I don't know. A lot of us that'll like producer kind of guys like his stuff, and I feel like he doesn't get enough holler out there. But there's dudes like that I've been kind of like Pocky Man. Again, if I'm saying his name wrong, sorry, bro, but your stuff's wicked. And what I'm saying? I love old school dub, but there's dudes like that I kind of like. I don't listen to a lot of music while I'm creating, so I don't like nab ideas by accident or like put something out and then halfway like while I'm like recording and go, dude, this is the thing I was listening to the car. Crap, I gotta delete that. You know what I'm saying? So I just try and avoid that by not listening to new stuff. But there's stuff like occasionally creeps across because it's just good, and I'll take a second to listen to it. All the stuff Lil Lion Sound's been doing, with giving like the dance hall legends, the live cuts in the studio. I watch Wayne Lonesome a lot. Big up Wayne Lonesome's channel. And Mono Digital, man. Like, that's a cat I'd love to run into in the course of my career, and I've got to work with like a lot of people that I grew up listening to. And like you kind of like, not trying to say you feel alone sometimes, but I really love the part of dance hall most people don't even think of as dance hall. Like, I love 80s dance hall, rubber dub, that kind of stuff. And like that dude is that. Like, that's his vibe. So there's stuff like that where I would like to.
Are you a big Garnet Silk fan?
Oh, big time, bro.
Yeah,
Silky one?
Stuff.
Of course, man.
Conscious dance hall, man. Bro. You can't beat that.
Yeah, man. Zion and a Vision. There's a couple that I used to cover a lot in the bars, man. And still, every now and then, I'll throw a Garnet Silk jam on, man. Every Knee Shall Bow is another one, heavy tune. But yeah, that's Garnet Silk's definitely one. But for old guys, I would check most of them off. I like pretty much a lot of the classics. But for newer guys, man, it's been some of the guys that like I feel like don't get maybe the shout on the festivals, but like they're making really good reggae music. So again, shout out Marcus Gadd and Kiko Bun and Pocky Man and all those dudes that are part of this, this generation making good real reggae music. Those guys like kind of inspire me to keep going,
Fantastic, man. Well, speaking of good reggae music, before we move forward, I want to pause for a moment because this past month, it's been a heavy one for the reggae world, man. We lost a couple of true giants. It definitely feels important to acknowledge them before anything else. Did you hear about? I was going to mention two, but Stephen Cat Corey, obviously a third world, and then Sly and Robbie. Just it's absolutely terrible, man. And it seems like it's been coming like hit after hit after hit. How did you first hear about the passings? And like, obviously,
I didn't know about Cat, man, and that
Right.
really killed me because as a guitar player, I think, especially when like people like kind of point to reggae and they go, "It's just simple on guitar," and you're like, "But Wranglin," and then that's always a name that comes too. I'm like, "Yo, Cat from Third World is
right.
monstrous guitar
Yes.
player, just like classically trained." Just top notch. Rest in power to like a real guitar legend, regardless of style of music. So that one that kind of threw me when you said that the other day. I was like, no, I didn't know, and that really
Yep.
bums me out because I know a lot of us, even guys from my neighborhood, man, we all kind of were like, that's the dude on guitar.
Yeah, he was
him
a
and
cellist,
him
man.
and Wranglin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound blended that roots, that soul funk. They were one of the most influentially successful reggae bands internationally, known for the 96 Degrees, that song, dude. That's like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Speaking of great guitar solos too.
Yes.
On a nylon, I think, right? But yeah, I missed a chance to play with them on the
Wow.
last run, and it was out of something I thought morally I was standing in the right way just
Right.
because of where they were playing. But I did get to see them. I've only been to Red Rocks once, man, and it was like John Brown's Body and
Yeah.
Third World, Mighty Diamonds, and Third World was nuts, and he took like a good 10-minute solo with like classical
They're actually playing
interluding
here,
and
Spring Break Festival. Jerry's Tiki Spring Break Festival in Daytona Beach. Hippie-Fari is going to be covering it, and I figured that wouldn't be the case anymore. But Third World said they were going to pick up and continue to keep going. So I was like, I was amazed, and that's obviously
to the Third World guys, man.
That's what Cat Corey
Respect
would
to
have
those
wanted. You know what
dudes.
I'm saying? Obviously,
Yeah,
I think any musician, if anything happens to them, they want to, the band to keep going, keep
See
getting
your
that
brothers
message out
carry
there.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that one bites. That's a tough one. Like just for guitarists and for reggae fans, that's
Yes.
tough. And then of course, man,
Days later, they took another hit. Sly Dunbar,
yeah.
man. Freaking shaped generations of sound. You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
He played with like the amount of like I'll tell people like I play with like pop people in the '80s, and they're like, nah, and I'm like, nah, you can check like pop, like not they played everything.
Right.
Like there's tracks you would not expect Sly and Robbie to be on that.
Right.
You're like, oh, that was Madonna, and they were on that, and you're like, yeah, they did the back end on that or whatever it is, and it's like that's not where I thought they'd be. And I'm like, listen to the drums,
Robbie
man.
Shakes,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, legends on everything, and just
and
they
also
stinks,
played with
man.
the reggae Black Ruru, Peter Tosh, Jimmy Cliff.
Oh yeah, man.
Bob Dylan, the
everybody.
Stones, Grace Jones. So,
And the Black Uhuru era, man, is like I don't
Oof.
think like Black Uhuru sound. You can say what you want about. I don't want to get in trouble because I like Black
Michael
Uhuru
Rose.
a lot, and I've played with him in the past, and I like Michael Rose a lot. But
yes,
that one like WAP period where it's Michael Rose and Sly and Robbie,
right.
some serious magic, man.
Yep.
And that was like top notch reggae. So
I got nothing but respect for Black Ruru, man, and the way I loved everything about it, man. The way they dressed too, it was like disco fucking. It was they were there. They were incredible, man. Everything about them was so amazing.
Yeah, and I'll be real too, man. Like I love that era, but like there's a lot of stuff. My old bass player Rochelle, who's a legend on the East Coast for reggae bass, but he was kind of tuned me into stuff when we take rides to go play like gigs in other places. He'd be like, "Yo, listen to this," and it wouldn't even sound like Black Uhuru.
Right.
It would be like it wasn't digital. It was like real drums and stuff.
Right.
And like the amount of like just different eras they had with different singers and the amount of music they put out under Black Uhuru is insane.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like half of reggae.
So you're definitely familiar with. I know. So you're definitely familiar with Dunbar's drumming. How would you describe his drum style to someone who had just discovered reggae? If you're like, you got to check this guy out. This is how he plays. Dude,
If you Wikipedia him, I think you're gonna see like the flyer stuff where the open hi hats and things, and
right.
like the quick like side sticking where he's clacking real quick and it sounds
Sure.
like delay. It's like classic stories of him in the studio, and they're like, "Oh, it's delay," and they're like, "No, that was him." But I think of him as like being one of the first forward-driven drummers, and this is something that like I don't think we think about in reggae a lot. But there was like everything was always like so in the pocket, it was loose. And I feel like he was one of the first drummers to like lean and strut hard, rather than always be laying back so much. So I think the gave chase to the music, and then when you add steppers, the boom, boom,
steppers, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth, buddy.
Yeah, and then you get all these side stick patterns he's throwing in. I think maybe I don't think the guy gets enough credit for literally changing the entire like lean of reggae music.
Right.
That's where I love old school stuff, but I love it for like the harmonies. I don't love it to get amped up. I love it sweet, and they're like, what I'm saying? Frankie Paul, that kind of stuff. And before that, Congos. Like, I just want, it's good, beautiful music, but like there's something danceable the minute you hear Sly play, where it's like he's dry. It reminds me of, I always mess his name up. It's like Daryl Chops or something. He plays for Washington. Couple other people, but that dude will be like bouncing out his seat,
right?
You know what I'm saying, while he's playing. I feel like Sly was the first dude with he put on the fireman's hat. We're turning the heat up. You know what I'm saying? It's not. We're not going to be playing on the back of the beat. We're going to be charging forward, and like he was always in the pocket and never rushed. But there was a strut. I feel like that just once he came in the picture, things started leaning. And dancehall really got like a little more groovy. So all the side sticking and hi hat work and the iconic glowing drumsticks and the fireman hat and just being on so many great records and the Simmons kit. Like there's so much stuff. All that stuff that really like defined an era of reggae was Sly Dunbar. But if I can say one thing that stuck with a lot of the dance hall guys was that like drive and intensity to like push the beat forward and attack rather than like find the back of the
that's
groove.
the point of a lot of like dance hall too, is to push that beat forward. You know what I mean? Not wait for it. Push it, go for it. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that, man. The Sly and Robbie rhythm section is definitely legendary. So in your opinion, why is the rhythm section, and you asked me the most important music or most important instrument in reggae music, I always say the bass guitar, even though I'm a percussionist, but to you, why is the rhythm section so sacred in reggae music?
I mean, you like ask me questions that like I don't know if I'm too white to answer, but for one, like we think of the one drop and stuff, but like the real backbone to like Rasta music is the celebration and Ayabengi, with like the 3 different size drums, and the kete is like the main talking piece. Like I feel like that's the heart of African music, and so same thing with Latin music too. So I feel like that has to be the same. You listen to Italian song, there's rhythm too, but if you don't hear really high pitched strings at some point, you kind of get disappointed. If you listen to an Italian song and there's no or like some real swanky, almost like flamenco-y horns, you're kind of like, I don't know, man, it's not really Italian music. So I think the same thing, same thing kind of goes with anything like that's Afro-Caribbean or African music. If you don't have drums as the centerpiece, which literally was the talking instrument, you know what I'm saying, if you harken back to the ancestors, as the main piece and still the talking instrument, even in the new stuff, then it loses the vibe and heart of what it really is. So obviously for cultural reasons, for historical reasons, there's that. But like from a nerd perspective and just my own shooting from the hip and Tony bullcrap that probably isn't true, check this out. So after you produce reggae music for a while, you start to figure out something that's really crazy. Reggae is like literally like polite, not just in who gets to play and like allowing the leads and the singers to go back and forth and whatever. It's EQ'd and set up and mixed to be like polite. So like your organ takes the low mids and the bass takes like the lows and the upper mids, and then you carve out a spot for the kick, and then like you have your chops and your bubble, what you call your piano skanks will go like upper mids, and then upper mids and highs will be covered mostly by like your horns, hi-hat, and vocals. So like literally the instruments are made the way it's grooved,
layered
with the drums. Yeah, it's gridded so it does not conflict. Whereas if you listen to like Salsa, there's part of that, but it's okay
Yes.
if like two conga players accidentally flam a hit or something.
Sure.
That's just part of like the
Yeah, pop, pop, pop,
chaos
pop, pop.
of the
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
I
and
love
everybody
the fuck
knows
out of
who's
salsa
keeping.
too, bro. Ooh.
Yeah, so like there's that where like it doesn't like you're not trying to be polite. Everyone has a part of the grid or like an ostinato, they got to repeat something like
Right.
that. But you'll have also guys that are just like soloing too because everybody knows that rhythm in the back of their head, kind of like when you play swing or jazz. Sometimes you can leave the swing, but everybody kind of knows where the hits are because it's still in your head going.
Right.
So in salsa, you might still have cock, 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 cock.
And you have, you know what salsa they got? They got that cowbell, bro. Dink, dink.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You'll have
exactly.
like that or a block will like keep that.
Yes,
so
yeah,
even
exactly.
if you leave that, you have that guy holding you there, and he's talking to the kielbasa guy. But in reggae, like it's a little more sparse, and like people a little bit more like organ's not supposed to take over too much and block the guitar. Guitar, which is normally like a forward instrument, and Western music is way in the back because it takes up a lot of the mid range.
You're right.
Like to make a guitar sound good, you need some low mids. You need to like get some of the whack out of 300, 400. And like somewhere around 2K to 3K, it's going to take your head off with a chicken. So if you're doing that the whole time with like licks, then you're going to eventually get some muddy nastiness. But if guitar takes a back seat and the horns stay punchy and you have organ that bubbles low and doesn't cut into the high frequencies and the bass doesn't have a lot of highs and is mostly like mids and lows, now everything's kind of EQ'd right off the bat, and even the way you play the instruments to not conflict or sound muddy or overbearing or cut in front of each other. So like the music is literally designed like almost perfectly as a grid to work, and so you don't do too much, and that basic drive of whatever the beat is essentially like kind of the glue for everything to stick to. So drums are massively important for that because they literally set the grid that all the other instruments fall in. But reggae is also EQ'd to be like polite and generous to certain instruments, and it's really baffling how little credit sometimes reggae producers get
exactly.
when you hear stuff. Yeah, you hear stuff come out of like Abbey Road Studios and like it's all right,
right,
compared to what
Right.
guys were doing with melting tapes and the tropics, and like people are like, oh, that's just reggae music. This is the Beatles or this is whatever. So I like the Stones, but some of the Stones recordings, I'm just like, y'all could have done a better job.
Right.
And then you go listen to it like you go listen to Lee Perry and War in Babylon, and you're like, they did a better job.
Yeah,
like,
Lynn Thompson, all the Green Sleeves Records guys, that was amazing. Whew.
So Augustus you can say what you want. Yeah, but like they knew what they were doing sonically and engineering wise and composition wise. So I feel like drums are like the main thing that they set and painted on top of, and that's why they were important. And it way you play the drums leaves the clearing pattern. No, not so much kick, just the one drop. Or if it is the steppers, it's keeping a steady beat, so it's not hitting randomly and juking you out. You don't want to muddy up the low end. Bass is supposed to stick out. Don't screw with the bass. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Like I think that's kind of like I don't know, my long weird rant of my own opinions on that, but I think that's why drums are the way they are in reggae. Sure, culturally, first reason. Second reason is the whole point's to be a grid. So the more that you muddy stuff up with too many kick drums, or you muddy stuff up with a bunch of stereo, and now you're
not
blocking
a grid
the other
anymore.
instruments.
It's a fucking
exactly. It's soloing in chunks. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah,
absolutely, man. So you know when we lose pioneers like Cat Core, Sly Dunbar, you know what responsibility do you think modern reggae and conscious artists have to honor those elders while still pushing the sound forward? I mean, I think my opinion on the show is they have a huge responsibility to do it, you know? I think they should, but how about you?
I agree with you, and I think, like, you see a change in stuff. We played Point Break for, like, the second year, I think.
Right.
We won't be there this year, but make sure you go and check out our brothers in Lost Soul Society, man. Please check them out. I think Buddha Fly might be there, too. I got to double-check that one, but... rewind me again, bro. We did that. You asked about classic reggae and how do you honor
like Cat Core and
Sly
Dunbar. So, what responsibility do the modern artists have to carry that forward and honor the elders? Something
that was like a given. If you were a reggae band, or at least like appreciated the music was, and it was like your call that was like, look, man, we're not Jamaican, but we obviously did our homework, so you're in good hands.
Right.
A lot of Americans bands copied this from dancehall guys. You would do medley. And you would pick like your heroes or influential rhythms or big hit rhythms people knew, and you'd cycle through a couple bars.
You did one at the beginning of your show at Point Break, didn't you?
Yes, and so we
Yeah.
wanted to do that as kind of like a hail up to like what we loved about classic
Yeah.
reggae shows, and I feel
Skylights
like
and
that.
shit.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big part of it too. Is like you made like reggae bands have always made like a point of doing that. Singers will walk off. I've seen like classic good reggae shows.
Right.
It'll be like an hour in, singer just dips out,
Right.
and like the musicians take over for like 3 songs. Sax
Yeah.
man gets some, you know what I'm saying, and it's a
Yep.
blast. But like they'll
Yep.
go through and hit medleys and switch feels like do 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 cotton do do boom do do down ba ba down ba boom 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 do do. You know what I'm saying? And literally go through all their favorite rhythms and stuff. And I feel like as a musician, that's kind of your job, is to like shout out or get people hooked on the stuff that you got
Yeah.
hooked on. And to be like, yo, this is one of those rhythms like I could never get out of my head. Swing Easy is burned into my memory for life. Like that's just something that I like. I feel like that's what we're supposed to do, is at some point in your show, hail up or play it. If you're going to play a cover, you better shout out the dude that did it.
Amen.
Which is a painful thing that happens a lot in modern reggae, where people will use a track and it will get them a lot of attention. At the end of the day, they'll be like, I don't know who wrote that or whatever.
Right.
One of the guys in the band, I guess. And it's like, it's definitely not. That's Sugar
Or
Minott
they'll
or
just
whoever.
say, wait,
like,
well, you know, we're technically not reggae. Like, come on, man. Okay.
yeah, but you'll jank ideas and you'll go, what yo?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, to get a crowd hyped, but you're not a reggae band. I got you.
Yep. Yeah. That always made me laugh.
That's just, that's don't get me started on the we're not a reggae band thing. Nobody ever has a problem with it when they're being put on reggae festivals.
Yes.
Getting paid and getting that fan base.
Right.
Then it's all good. And then when you get sick of it and you think you deserve more, then you're just like, yeah, screw those fans. We're better than that. We don't want to be reggae anymore. And it's like, bro, you were already barely there.
We're our
like,
own style.
It didn't really sound like it to begin with. You're right. You're right. But you did benefit off of it. And so, like, I don't know. As far as young people, man, and people that are and middle people, whatever you call me, I think that's I think that's something that all generations we should kind of be doing, man, because there is no school and education for this unless you're Groundation and you're dope. And you
that's
teach
why
Groundation
uses
like
all
that,
the
dude.
elders, you know. Harrison Stafford was like, I could do a track with Chronics, or I could do a track with any of the new artists. You know, it'd sell a lot because these artists are new.
Oh, dude, the songs with the Congos and
but
awesome.
He's like, because of my the respect for the elders, where this came from. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you want to play on music that you actually listen to?
Right.
Like, to people that, like, I love this. Why would I not want to make music with this? I might be insecure and not think I should be making music. A lot of times that's a hold up for artists. Is I'm like, I don't even think I should contact the guy. Who the hell am I to this dude? But like at the same time, I'd rather have that. I'd rather be rejected by someone.
No kidding.
I like, or at work and it work out and I get to work with someone that I actually like making music with. Rather than someone that I think is popping right now on the charts, bro. Because at the end of the day, I may not be happy with that song and might be like, what the frick was I thinking? Like a year later, I would have rather had the song with Israel Vibrations, or I would have rather had a song with whoever it was.
Yep.
However, I do not put Chronics in that other list. I put them in the I want to make songs with that guy list.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Chronics is wicked,
yes.
Yeah. But I do get what he's saying, and like we do have a job to kind of champion the older cats. And as a younger, let's say, Caucasian or whatever you want to call it, white dude, I think sometimes people like assume that you're not like that, and will come to me and they'll be like, you really need to shout out like the originators. I'm like, I did, like on the mic like 3 times. So I think like you're like, there's people out there that are trying to keep that straight, but then they overdo it and they end up like kind of scaring off potentially good soldiers in Jah Harmony by making them feel, I don't know, insecure about what they do and don't know. And so I think that there's a long process of this, and I've done it too. And I don't know if trauma begets trauma, but I've definitely harassed other white guys for being like, yo, you're not carrying the banner right, bro. So, I don't want to be that guy, but I think we all do have at least, like, when you see young bands that are playing that kind of music, man, support them. When you see guys that are really shouting out the stuff, or they like that kind of music and they're coming out to shows, support those guys and don't necessarily beat them down about it. Just kind of, if they take an interest, help them get more of an interest and open the door. That's like that weird little thing between the old reggae and new reggae that nobody talks about. And like, sure, there's black and white issues because welcome to America. But in every other country in the world. But but I think that's part of something that people don't really get about this. The old and the new have to exist together. It can't be just old reggae. It can't just be
That's right.
new reggae, because if there's no new reggae, then the old guys stuff dies out, doesn't continue on,
Right.
and doesn't go on to help or have a legacy or be a part of the culture that it creates.
Yes.
Which is bogus. So you have to have the young people, and they have to evolve to where it's still palatable to the next generation. And the young people can't pee all over the place that you can't put your dirty feet on the sofa when you're invited in. And I think that big rub is like, you would get more harmony if you would get the approval of the elders, and you don't always do that by kissing up. Isn't that great?
Right.
So you can try that, but that won't work. But you got to be you, and you got to actually support good stuff, and support the music that influenced you. So I think when we can reconcile young people, young artists versus the old artists, hip hop has an issue with this too, where it's like the old heads are like, things must be done a certain way,
right.
And then the young heads are like, then we don't even care about you,
right?
Ta-ta. And like, but then you look at the young guys and you go, well, screw you, bro. You wouldn't even exist if there was no Wu-Tang and Mobb Deep.
Right.
And how do you not know who Tupac is?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, just stuff like that. We like, we talk to reggae people, and they're like, I got into this a couple of years ago, man. I don't really know outside of Bob Marley. And I'm like, then
right.
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing running this channel, or whatever you're doing running this thing, or whatever you're doing running this reggae bar? You know what I'm saying? And so it just like, I think that's one thing that we could really do, and I could do better. When I was, coming up, I did the same thing to other guys coming up. Right. I would say, okay, man, that's dope, but you really need to check out this. And I did it in an aggressive way to more flex that I knew what I was doing. And that's not how you're supposed to go. Yeah, and I don't do it a lot, but I've definitely done it probably by accident and not realized I was doing it. It's been done to me because I'm a white dude. So I think that's always going to be, when we can reconcile that and realize the old dudes and the young dudes, you need each other. You got to talk to make this work.
100%.
That's when we have some healing in the scenes, or whatever you want to call it,
So how do you keep that spirit of reggae alive without it feeling like, an imitation? You know what I'm saying?
For one, man, I don't necessarily like I'll rap in patois. Like, I have done it. I do sing in
That's
Jamaican
all right, though,
grammar.
if you do it good.
And I try and do it for songs where I feel like it's necessary for the message and what's trying to get across. But, really, man, I try and get people to remind them that the music's supposed to be like the King's music. Right. So I don't know what color people want to give me, or race, or whatever people want to say, call me white boy, Italian. It doesn't really matter to me. I think regardless, God doesn't see you any different. So if I can... And a lot of people do not associate Rasta with being part of the overall story of like the Abraham, faiths. And that this it left off in Revelations, gave you a lot of tips that things were going to blow up in the Middle East. Eagle, dragon, and the bear are going to be at war. How the Antichrist was going to come, and just how multi-headed faces on screens, and all sorts of junk that is just like, all right, man, well, maybe the Rastas are on point, and like we're walking in it right now.
I think they are.
And so, I mean, to me, as far as that, I want people to get into reggae for why it's really heavy, and then you will immediately start to listen to the people that speak to that message anyway. So I feel like if you can remind people that God is still a big part of reggae music, then when they hear it from the originators, or maybe not the originators, but the originators that came after, like you hear a Luciano track, Glory be to Most High Jah. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear that and you get chills, and you go, all right, man, this is what I was waiting for. Or took Lucian to go see Barris Hammond, and I just remember him turning to me and going, this is what a real reggae show is like. And I was like, dog, this is what I've been saying. It's church. Like, you're going to come out of this feeling better as a human being. And like, I don't think a lot of people really get that. Like, if you get that part of reggae, how could you not like Lee Perry, who wears mirrors on his shoes to ward off the devil? How could you not, you know what I'm saying? How could you not like Max Romeo for chasing the devil and putting on his iron shirt? How could you not like Bob for singing about God? And so I feel like that's our job is to get
politics. And I don't understand how. I don't know. Maybe I'm seriously going to get canceled for this one, but it's really hard for me. I mean, I guess I'll say it without saying it. To listen to reggae music and absorb that message and be into it, and especially for people who love these elders and carry the torch of reggae music, to be into or be supportive of certain things that are going on here in this country, and of certain people that are actually, kind of doing certain things that are not so good. It's kind of mind blowing. I was like, it's kind of the opposite of, the message that reggae music is preaching, if you're kind of following what I'm saying. But
No, I do, and I'll be honest. My wife's very vocal about this stuff, and I've thrown names in songs and said wild junk about the government. So
yep.
It turned out wasn't that wild, and I guess that's my point. Is at the end of the day, man, like, I don't know how you can have, your Bob Marley One Love sticker and then Trump election MAGA whatever sticker.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see the correlation when it's like, hey man, we're here to promote like the people's music and give a nod to black culture and history that's being erased, but we're going to support the government that's erasing that. Got rid of education. We can't. So this is the first year we ain't celebrate Martin Luther King's Day as a nation. Are you kidding me? I don't understand
how a lot of people could even vote, period, for some of these politicians to be like, it blows my fucking mind, you know what I mean?
I don't know what it's like on the West Coast, and I know there's gangs and stuff everywhere, but I live on the East Coast, man, and I mean, Puerto Ricans have it on lock in New York. It is what it is.
Right.
But, like, there's, like, most of the people I meet that are Mexican.
Yeah.
Like, they're just minding their business.
Yep.
They had 7-Eleven in front of me in line like everybody else. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many people in Washington have been so drastically affected, but why they deem as illegal immigrants that they also happen to slap this label of being terrible people and call criminals.
Yeah.
But I rarely have encounters with Latino people. My friends, I hope they don't just flip out on me one day and start attacking my Latino friends. That would be terrible. Apparently that's what's going to happen, right? Yeah. Thank God for ICE. Like, dude.
Shit. Don't get me started on ICE, man. But,
that quote, please don't take that and sniff that by itself.
Yeah, right.
But the Levitt chick, like, she gets on there and she's like, we're really, I forgot what the speech started with, but it was like, that by itself showed me everything. We're, about Peretti and the lady that was shot in Minneapolis.
Right. Yeah.
So she goes through the whole thing and is like, we feel sorry for these atrocities and also for the people who are being harassed, murdered, and whatever by illegal immigrants. And I was like, what? Wow. Oh, my God. I was like, come on, man.
They make up less than 1% of the population.
How do you say this with a straight face?
Yeah.
And even so, man, I've never been harassed by a Latino cat. No one's ever gone out of their way to be like, yo, hey, whitey, they're usually minding their business, bro, just like everybody else. And like, that's when I'm like, well, I don't understand the big fear of us. Maybe because you're afraid because it's not your country.
My big fear is if you're not here, the fucking amazing food trucks are gonna disappear in my area. You know what I'm saying? Like
bro,
back the
homies.
Fuck off.
I got homies, man. I don't want to see gone. And apparently they're awful people, and they've just been lying in wait, going to Catholic church and hanging out with us for years.
Right.
One day they're gonna flip.
Yeah,
like, I can't, bro.
It's just a scapegoat for so we're not actually looking at the 1% we need to be worried about are the politicians, but that's just my opinion.
Well, watch out, government. The Italians are coming back, man. They should rest in power, Mr. Peretti. And I'm sorry, if we can pardon what's his name, Andrew Tate, but we can't pardon Mangione, who actually did his homework and went after the right guy.
Right.
Like, I don't care if that's a controversial thing, man. And sure, nobody should die, and I feel bad about lives being lost. But like, the way we treat actual criminals versus like someone who did an honor killing or tried to like defend himself against a bully. Like, America's supposed to be anti-bully, and now we go after the underdog.
We go after
and we celebrate the bully.
I just made a post on social media today, and like I said, this is a reggae show, but I'll bring it up anyway. I'm seeing all this hate for a certain religious group, coming from I have friends that are still on my Facebook that are on the right, and this straight up hate. Get them out. They're infidels. They're awful people. God is gonna punish him. And I was like, what kind of God do you worship, man? The God that I know loves everybody regardless of religion. That's ego. You know what I'm saying? That's just absolute insanity. But it's just mind blowing the hate that's out there, and especially being used under the umbrella of God. God doesn't need you to hate in his place. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think God gives two shits what those people are thinking. And I think that's agree. The fact that you think you understand what
God is thinking. Yeah. It's just mind blowing.
So and I think, look, man, I have a feeling this is where I lost some fan base in the last year or two.
Right.
Was because I've been, even in person, just kind of been like, nah, man, screw this. This is bogus. And,
amen.
I thought we were reggae artists. Like this
Right.
is the war. It's not some made up thing so you can wear a turban,
Right.
have flames in your music video, and
Right.
act like you're cultured. That's why, like, I don't always buy into like whatever the image of what a reggae artist is supposed to be.
Right.
In war, there is no image. It is survival, and like the war is not guns. Hopefully not yet. Shit's getting weird.
Right.
But the war is literally fighting this kind of illness, keeping people safe, defending people who don't have someone to defend them,
Correct.
stopping abusive authority. Like, these are the things that we're supposed to stand for. This is the actual battle. It's not
Right.
some hocus pocus like when, no offense, I love Iron Maiden, but you're singing about dragons and junk. You're not actually fighting dragons.
Right. Exactly.
Bruce Dickinson.
Yep,
Maybe
yep,
he is. I
yep.
don't know.
But just
you get my point.
Yeah. Well, and
you get my point.
A heads up when reggae talks about Babylon, this is what they're talking about. So,
Yeah, corrupt Western society.
That's
this
exactly
shit.
right. Yes.
Us.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we're walking, we're doing exactly what they think we're doing. And
That's right.
it blows my mind, man. I went to Jamaica and like the amount of people that were like, it's not England. It's
Right.
you guys.
Right, exactly.
America control.
Yeah.
Like, they handle other shit and we don't like them either.
Right.
But America, you run our trade and you screw us and we can't, we have to like buy back our own fruit from you and just,
Right.
no, screw you guys.
Yes,
like, that's, and like, I
absolutely.
didn't realize how bad that we controlled their trade and
Right.
messed over the Caribbean that bad. And like, you find out stuff over your lifetime where you're just like, man, like, it's rough. And then people put it all out right now. Like, I guess that's when people did the whole, but at least he's an honest criminal or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but that means you caught him.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if he's admitting it, like, it doesn't matter if he's being open. That's flaunting and arrogant.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
not honesty.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
mistaking that because you're a moron.
Yeah. He was
Sorry.
honest after he got caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's in a position of power, an FU position of power,
Right.
where it's hard to knock him off. So now he can say what he wants, and you guys think he's being honest, but he's
Right.
literally telling you he's a crook, and then it went down, and now he's a crook. And
Right.
most people are just kind of like, we don't want to talk about politics. And it's like, all right, man, well, they're murdering innocent people.
Right.
Like, we live next to Langley.
Right.
Over in Virginia where I am, it's Langley. There's a CIA building. There's the Norfolk Naval Yard, Northrop Grumman, the shipyard. There's like everything, man. It's the three forts within 15 minutes of me. And
Right.
like, and then you go 3 hours up and there's the Pentagon and all that nonsense. So,
Right.
I don't know, man. I think sometimes we like forget, like, you're a target for this stuff. And like, the more like we you don't know how many people we've bullied over the years as a nation.
Oh,
That
yes.
are waiting for someone to throw the first rock. And like, now we're really poking everyone in the eye. And the
Pretty
people
much.
that we used to be like the Indiana Jones villains, like,
Yeah.
that's who we're teaming up with.
Yep.
It's insane. And like the classic Italian thing is that when Mussolini went through the streets, we're going to bring back the glory of Rome, and he's like destroying Roman
Right,
roads
right.
with tanks. Well, it's literally, we did that shit in DC. We don't have money for jack, but we're going to take tanks and destroy the roads on a parade.
Right.
But we don't have money. We don't have money for education, but we'll send some lady around in a caravan to go state to state, pay for her travels and whatever. We don't have, but we're going to downsize education.
Yeah.
But we're going to
100%.
put the wrestling lady in charge. Like,
Right.
dog,
Yes.
woo, she'll keep the
Yeah.
kids in line, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. And the people that are making all this legislation are the ones that are saying, the illegals are the problem. The gay people or whatever. It's less than 1% of the population is the problem, when actually we're getting steamrolled by the 1% that is really fucking everything up. You know what I mean?
and even
amazing.
that, how often do you hear about, look, I don't want to touch this one because I don't want to offend my Jamaican friends that have certain viewpoints, but
Right.
at the same time, those viewpoints can be offensive too. How often do you hear about gay people joining up and beating up a straight dude?
Right.
Isn't it usually the other way around? Like,
Pretty
all
much,
this fear
yeah.
and stuff. It's
Yes.
like, yo, I don't know what scenarios you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Levitt lady. Like, I don't
Right.
know what world you live in, but like, I live in a regular middle class to working class and
Right.
extra neighborhood.
Yes.
And like, we have all manner of folks, and like, all these people I'm supposed to be afraid of. If anything, they seem more afraid of me.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
of course,
So
for
like,
good
I don't
reason.
know what news you're watching, and if
Yep.
it's fake news or whatever, but I also live in a neighborhood where my neighbor's Latino, doesn't. If
Right.
anything, man, the Bondia music at 9:00 on Sunday,
Yes.
when I'm trying to sleep in from the gig, I'm like, I love it, but bro, that's loud.
Yeah.
Other than that, fantastic.
I love
people.
band music.
Yeah, but not like, bro, it's Sunday morning. Come on, bro. He has a routine. He goes out, he does his steaks, he turns, and it's fine. And I don't have any trouble with the guy. And
Right.
like, there's I'm not gonna say their names I don't want to put them on blast on a podcast, but
Right,
my neighbor's
exactly.
dope, and like I'm the only white guy in my neighborhood, and like nobody messes with me.
Right.
And
Yep.
like I have people that are gay that come to our shows. They've never
Yep.
beat me up in the parking lot.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So all this fear mongering stuff, I'm more afraid of the people who are doing the fear mongering.
Amen.
You know?
100%, man. Yes, it's yeah, and they justify it with righteousness. But anyway, I'm kind of glad that we touched on that because it's something that I feel, is near and dear to my heart, and I've always asked that question, and even if you did start out supporting somebody or whatever if you're seeing it in your face and you just still can't maybe change your mind or say, this isn't working, just to keep at it is just what's mind blowing to me. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but folks,
Dave
it
Chappelle
is okay to change your mind.
Yeah, it is, and
It's
like it shows
perfectly okay.
intelligence. It means
Yes.
that you take facts for facts.
That's right.
There's Dave Chappelle or somebody. I mean, I forgot what comedian it is. I'm sorry to misquote, but they said something like along the lines of like, where do you, if you have a cook, you don't give him like a 4-year like job. You just hire him, and then it goes as it goes. And if he makes you vomit, or the food's gross every day, or like he's poisoning your family with some spoiled food, you don't go, well, we got to sit through this like another 3 years, I guess. Until,
Right, exactly.
You get a new cook.
Yes.
And like I don't know, man. Like the fact that this guy has escaped impeachment and just,
Right.
I don't know, man. It's time for a new cook, and I don't think we should have to wait another couple years.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
maybe we should have the Congress speak up, and people should take a vote. And
Yep.
there's enough to really condemn the man on. We don't need the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Right.
That's horrible because
Yes.
that's like we do need them,
Right,
but
of
like
course.
there's enough damnable evidence without those. Add that on. The guy
Yeah.
should be gone. We shouldn't have to wait another 2 years of puking and embarrassing
Right.
ourselves in front of. When Canada hates
Right.
you,
Right. Yeah. No kidding.
can't you piss off
Yes.
Canada? What kind of assholes piss off Canada?
Kira actually,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, my wife has it right. She's like, these folks are definitely bought and paid for by somebody because they are now getting so brazen and saying literally the dumbest shit that makes no sense and not caring. Yeah.
It's blatant, just blatant jackassery, man. And that's the
Yes.
part I'm just like, if people can't see that and they're like, dude, I don't agree with your politics. I'm like, I don't agree with you as a human being.
Right.
Like, they're showing you blue and you're telling me it's orange.
Right. Yeah.
Or
Strange.
green. And like,
Yep.
after a while, man, you have color blindness or you have something that's impeding glasses that are impeding your vision.
Yes.
And I don't know if, like, at this point, I'm worried more about the intelligence than the political argument, or what lives in your heart. If you can see people die, oh, they lost kids, not a big deal.
Yep.
There's just a bunch of kids from Latin countries that
Right.
disappeared, can't find them.
Yeah.
Oops, on to the next
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Like, can we rewind that? That's how things started.
Correct.
So, like, just,
Yes. Well, that's
I don't know how
yeah.
people can see that and go.
That's what I said at the beginning of the podcast. I was like, if you don't see it, your eyes might be open, but your vision is blurred, and you're definitely not. You're still seeing the illusion. It's amazing to me, man. It's mind blowing. But this is what reggae music's been singing about for since the 60s or since the mid 70s, or the 70s when it got really political. But and has continued to carry that message through. So it's just it's mind blowing. Just hoping the message and the truth gets out there and resonates with some people. And like I said, once again, folks, when you see the truth, it is okay to change your mind. In fact, it's okay.
Yeah, we don't want to scare off Trump supporters, man. You want to come to our show, you like the music, that's cool. I'm not going to sit there and make you feel isolated or alienated, but we hope that you actually listen to the lyrics, and
Right.
that after the third or fourth beer, you don't forget what
Right.
this music is really supposed to be about. And
Right.
that's all I'm asking. And like, I don't know, man. I wish people would kind of, I don't know, really wake up to what's happening around them and
Yes.
what they're promoting as, I don't know, as leadership right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know, folks. Just so you know, out there, you're always welcome at Cultivated Mind Shows,
Absolutely.
whatever
And you're always
your
welcome on
political
this
thing is.
podcast. Yep. But here, I'll
Yes.
I'll kind of end this with that, or end that with this. You have two people that are arguing. One's on one side, one's on the other. They think they're right. The other guy thinks he's right. Funny thing is, they're both getting their information from media. They're both fucking wrong, man. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
it's
there's some
all
screwy
we're
people all
arguing
throughout the
lies. So let's Like I said, it's
Yeah,
okay to
people
change
always
your
go,
mind.
well, what about the Clintons? And I'm like, well, I don't like them either.
No, hell no, man. Absolutely not, man.
That's not, they're not in charge right now.
Right,
So that's
exactly.
the guy
Yes.
driving the bus into the wall. That's the dude I'm trying to stop. But
100%.
the other two that they're not in charge that you're worried about, if they were in charge, I'd be equally scared. There's some screwy cats too.
Yes, they are, man.
So
Absolutely. That's a whole nother podcast. But
yeah, man.
Well, awesome, man. Before we wrap this one up, let's kind of bring it back to the present and the future. What's next for Cultivated Mind? I know you talked about your upcoming releases that are coming out. Let's talk about some shows. I know you got some coming up, or maybe like some new creative directions that you're going in.
Yeah, so next podcast, I want to, if it's cool, man, I have like, it's just like flamenco kind of stuff.
You don't even have to say it. It's cool.
It's still reggae, but it's flamenco. It's like strings and skins and all, and flutes and all that kind of junk. So like I have a bunch right now. I don't know what endurance was gonna look like. Like
Right.
I had bit off. I had a big idea, and now I'm realizing that if I continue to do it in like we talked earlier, a fashion that I'm doing it,
Right.
I may not. I may be stuck, constipated, and die from it. So
Right.
what I'm gonna do is start putting out tracks at a time, but I'm gonna try and vary them. So on the album, they'll be grouped the way they should, where it's like there's a portion that's hip hop, there's a portion that's jazz, there's a portion reggae is the whole thing, but those are like mixed in for certain sections. But for right now, I think I'm just gonna screw with people, and so I'm gonna put out I already submitted the If I Pray.
Yes.
So that'll be a good one because it's an older one that just never got the light of day. That'll be cool to get out. But I'm also like after that, I think I'm gonna drop a flamenco one, and then like a hip hop one, and then like instead of doing like all the reggae tunes, like I might just do a weird whatever the next one is, not the same genre, just to keep it fresh. So a lot of the stuff on the album like lines up in sections, which even though at first was kind of a pain because I was like, now I gotta like finish whole sections before I release them.
Right.
I'm not looking at it like that, and instead I'm like, oh, well, I can take the songs that are done from each section and kind of throw people curveballs for each release. So that's kind of the plan, man, is to put out some of the weirder stuff. Maybe not weird, like it's still like melodically sound. I didn't like just play a bunch of diminished chords over top of augmented shit and go, oh, that's weird.
Right.
Like I played decent notes, I think, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of the stuff isn't like, forward charge trumpets, air horns, and me going, ooh, yeah, really loud.
Right.
Some of it doesn't even have lyrics on it, and it's a lot of guitar. So that's kind of the plan, man, is to kind of show some of the other cards in the deck. And then at the end, when I'm ready to finish the album, I have some like real roots stuff that I'm going to drop then as well. So, and then the stuff that we're working on, which maybe Whiz Bang might be a sweet name for
I
an
love
album. Or at least the song we use like Jawbone on or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. It's like I have these tracks. The Pellegrino track's been cooking. I really want to get that one out soon. So some of that kind of stuff, man, is around the bend. And then for shows, I'll be real with you, man. I can't say a lot because I don't have things with a contract, but I got word that I might be on the stage with two of my heroes.
Yes.
And, homie was like, it's a side stage. And I was like, oh, I got to drive for a side stage. And he was like,
told you who it was, and you were like, boom. Yep.
Let me tell you who's on the side stage. And I was like, oh, those are like my favorite musicians ever. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, solid. Big shout out to Rebel Sounds Rising.
Yes, love Rebel Sounds Rising. They were just on the podcast.
Yeah. And Delroy and Wagwan and all those dudes, man. But yeah, so there's some things in working out for that. We're trying to get things sealed for One Earth. Getting the band together for that one's tough because a lot of the guys have shows with their own crews that weekend. So we're trying to patch some people, and that's been difficult. But right now, that's possible. I'm going to be headed to PA again at the end of August. I'll be headed there next couple months, 420 for Cannabis Festival.
Nice.
I might be playing with Unity Vibrations for that.
Beautiful.
Which would be sweet. And then a lot of stuff, man. I'm going on a tour with Queasy J from Lost Soul Society. We're gonna hit the road and do some shows, some breweries, and a couple of venues, and then a festival on the front end and back end of that tour. That's last week of May, first week of June, and then another one that's set with him for the last week of August and first week of September. So 2 runs with my man Queasy J. If you don't know him in Lost Soul Society, please check him out, folks. Queasy's a madman, brilliant producer, songwriter, and everything else. all in one. But yeah, that's kind of what's around the bend. A couple tours, some bigger shows that I can't really drop too much yet until I have things sealed, or else you know how that goes.
I do.
You'll say you're doing it, and then it gets canceled
Yes.
somehow.
Yep.
So I'm gonna wait on those.
Yep.
But some good stuff around the bend, man, and back in the circuit of like classic reggae music, which is where I kind of wanted to be and used to be. So now that things have kind of evened out, bands are really starting to come through again. COVID crap has dwindled. You know, starting to bring back some of the bands that I really like to play with. So, just hyped for that, man. Really hyped to play with some reggae. Gonna be a good year for that. So
Absolutely
that's pretty
beautiful,
much it.
man. And I